Mr. Brewster of Scrooby. Of course, William was punished for going to Babworth in Sherwood Forest, but Uncle Robert said Tom must be punished too. Both boys were so tired when they came home from their long walk that even Aunt Alice didn't have the heart to beat them very much. "I hope that will teach you not to go running off again," she said. But it didn't, at least as far as William was concerned. There was something at Babworth that William admired. Mr. Clifton and Mr. Brewster were the kind of men he liked. They were scholars. They had been to Cambridge University. They lived in a world that seemed finer and bigger than his own. Somehow, he felt, being with them helped to make up for the mother and father and grandfather he had lost. So next Sunday he went to Babworth again, and he was punished. The Sunday after he went again, and he was punished again. But he could tell that Uncle Robert didn't want to do it. After William's fourth trip to Babworth, neither his aunt nor his uncle said anything. They acted as if they didn't even know he was gone. From that time on, William went regularly to Babworth, and nothing was said. Every Sunday, no matter what the weather was, he made his way to the little stone church by the wood. Even when winter came, he walked through the cold and snow and back again. One day early the next spring, it was March 25th, 1603, William and Sam were walking home from school. A dusty rider dashed past them on his way north. The road was so narrow Sam and William had to jump into the ditch to get out of the horse's way. As they looked after the rider, they saw the horse stumble. It almost went down on its knees. The rider lurched forward and just saved himself from going over the horse's head. "Come on," William yelled. "Something's the matter. Let's help him." The rider was kneeling beside the horse when William and Sam reached him. He looked up at William. "Do you know where I can find a good blacksmith?" he said. "This horse has thrown a shoe, and I've important news to carry to Scotland. I must be on my way." With Sam and William as guides, the man led his horse back into Rosington. "Did you come all the way from London?" William asked. London, 150 miles away, was like the end of the earth. William never expected to see it. "From London indeed," the man said. "From the Queen's Palace itself." Or what was the Queen's Palace? "Was," echoed William. "What do you mean by that?" "Her Majesty the Queen is dead. That's what I mean. And that's the heavy news I'm carrying to Scotland. Only it will be good news for one person there." "Who's that?" Sam said. "His Majesty King James of Scotland," the rider said. "He's to be our king, too, now. He'll be coming here before many days, on his way to London to be crowned." The king? Coming here? That was the biggest thing that had ever happened in these parts. William ran most of the way home because he was so anxious to tell Uncle Robert. After this, no one could think of anything except the king. William made up his mind that he must see the king. But how could he be sure of doing so? How could he find out what day the king was coming? Whom could he ask? William Brewster. That was the man he must see. Mr. Brewster had often asked him to come to his home in Scrooby, but so far William hadn't gone. Scrooby was only 3 miles south of Austerfield, over the border in Nottinghamshire. But William had been afraid Aunt Alice would make trouble if he went. Now he had to go. Yet when could he do it? Every day but Sunday he was in school, and on Sunday he always went to Babworth. At last he decided to go to Scrooby on his way to Babworth. Perhaps he and Mr. Brewster's family could go to church together. So on a bright April morning he set out for Scrooby. Down toward the river he could see the Bradford sheep, Uncle Rupert's and his own, grazing in the bright green field. Sometimes early in the morning he would go out to the pen to see Mercy. Each year she had given him a new lamb, sometimes even twins. Her children in their turn had given him more lambs. For Mercy alone he had a flock of 16 sheep. Some day, when William had finished school, it would be his full-time job to care for his sheep in his land. Or would it? He had begun to think and dream of other things, of Cambridge University, of being a minister. To help people in Robin Hood's way was good, but to help them in a minister's way might be even better. William had these things to think about as he turned into the Great North Road at Bawtry and followed it to Scrooby. He wondered whether he would have any trouble finding the manor house where Mr. Brewster lived. But there was no need to worry about that. Scrooby was a small village. The manor house was the biggest thing in it. The first thing William saw was a drawbridge. At the far end was a tower and gatehouse. Since the bridge was open, William walked across it. He went through the gatehouse and into a larger courtyard. The courtyard was so large he didn't know where to go next. There were barns, stables, a tower for doves with birds flying in and out of the many little holes. There were buildings where grain was stored. There was a blacksmith's forge. There were kennels for hunting dogs, though only one old dog seemed to be living there, and he was too happy in the sun even to jump up and bark. William walked on until he found an entrance to another courtyard. Here were more buildings. He could only guess what most of them were. Kitchens, a place to bake things, and even a small church. Beyond these he could see rows of fruit trees. There was even a fish pond with big fat fish swimming lazily in the sunlit water. As he stood in the middle of the big paved yard, William felt very small. He turned around and started back for the gate. William Bradford. Mr. Brewster was walking toward him across the big courtyard. "Welcome to Scrooby Manor," he said. "We've waited a long time for your visit. You must come in and have some breakfast with us. Then we'll show you around before we start for church. Jonathan will be happy to see you." Jonathan Brewster was 3 years younger than William. Mr. Brewster led William into a room bigger than the whole house at Austerfield. At one end was a huge fireplace. Old swords and firearms hung on the wall above it. Mr. Brewster was sitting at a table in the center of the room. Jonathan sat on one side, and Patience, a little girl of 3, on the other. "Look who's come to see us," said Mr. Brewster to his family. "It's William Bradford from Austerfield. Sit down and have something to eat with us, William." "We're happy to have you with us, William," said Mrs. Brewster. William noticed that all the Brewsters had soft, friendly voices. Already he felt at home with them, more at home than in Aunt Alice's house. He hadn't been hungry, but he found himself eating a good breakfast, thick peas porridge with meat in it, milk, bread, and slices of cold meat. When he had finished, Mr. Brewster said, "Would you like to see the post horses? We'll just have time before we go to church. Come, let's go to the stables." William followed Mr. Brewster to the outer courtyard and into the stables. They seemed dark until his eyes grew used to them. He could hear the sounds of the horses rubbing against their stalls or switching their tails. "Some of these are the queens, or now I should say the king's, to carry his messages," Mr. Brewster explained. "We've had a good many messengers calling for horses since the queen died. Ever since Sir Robert Carey passed through with the first news on the 25th of March, we've had a string of them." "Then he was the rider I saw," William said. "His horse cast a shoe at Rosington. Do you think you'll see the king when he goes to London, Mr. Brewster?" "Yes, indeed. The Sheriff of Nottingham has asked me to be in the party that will meet him at the border of our country." The Sheriff of Nottingham made William think of Robin Hood, and then of the bad time he and Sam and Tom had had in Sherwood Forest the day they went there. "Will the king come here, to your house?" William asked. "I doubt it. If he knew who I am, I'd not be very popular with him. You see, the man I work for was the one who ordered Mary Stuart's head cut off. And Mary Stuart was King James's mother, you know." "Did you see them do it?" William asked. Mr. Brewster smiled a little. "No, William," he said, "I didn't." Then Mr. Brewster explained how, as a very young man, he had become the personal secretary of Sir William Davison. Sir William had been Queen Elizabeth's Secretary of State. "Things went very well at first," Mr. Brewster said. "Sir William took me to Holland with him on the Queen's business." "I wish I could see Holland," William said. "Perhaps you will some day. Who knows?" "But what happened about the Scottish Queen's head?" William asked. "That was after we got back. Sir William was very popular then. He had carried out the Queen's orders in Holland. The Queen was grateful to him, too. But then the trouble began. You see, Queen Elizabeth knew Mary, Queen of Scots, had been plotting against her. Mary wanted to rule England. The country was in danger, but Mary was Elizabeth's cousin. Even when Parliament told Elizabeth to order Mary's death, she didn't want to do it. Finally, she did as Parliament asked. When she handed the paper to Sir William, she told him to see that it was done and not to bother her any more about it. But then, when it was done, and Mary was dead, Queen Elizabeth put the blame on Sir William. She was a great queen, but she wasn't always fair. She locked my master in the Tower. So, of course, I went along to take care of him. She took his job away. She took most of his money, too." "You lived in the Tower of London?" William said. His mouth dropped open. Every boy knew about the horrible things that had happened there, the tortures and executions. "Weren't you afraid?" "It's not such a bad place if you have to be a prisoner," William Brewster said. "They let you walk outside on the high walls. The big rooks come begging for food. You can watch ships sail up the River Thames. You can see people crossing London Bridge." "Did you ever see the Queen herself?" William wanted to know. "Yes, many times. But look, it's time we were leaving for church. We're leading the horses out. Come, I'll show you which one is yours. We'll let Jonathan ride behind you." All the way to Babworth, William thought about the great world Mr. Brewster had lived in. He scarcely heard what Jonathan said. He scarcely heard what Mr. Clifton said in church. For here he was, sitting next to a man who had known all the great people of England, right up to the Queen herself. Well, at least William would see the new king. He would manage it somehow.